And with that, I'd like to welcome you guys to the CleanStart Perspectives with Lorenzo Smith, Dean of College of Engineering and Computer Science at Sac State. One thing that I didn't know, but if you go to their website, you can check out, they are a nationally recognized program. I think 11th in civil engineering. They're nationally recognized in computer engineering, electrical and electrical engineering, and mechanical engineering. And these are big parts of the future of cleantech, the future of the grid and how you set up these systems. So it's really exciting to have a nationally recognized program right here in our home neighborhood.
Thank you, Thomas. I first want to just express my appreciation to CleanStart for facilitating and managing these these sort of events. It really means a lot to the campus of Sacramento State. President Nelson is committed to serving the community in the greatest way possible, and this is one wonderful example. So, Gary and Thomas, I commend you for all the work that you do at CleanStart, and I again really happy to talk about our college. I would say that as Dean of the College of Engineering and Computer Science at Sacramento State, I have a great job, and that is because the faculty, the staff, and students work so hard, and a big part of my job is just to brag about them. And so I'm going to do a little bit of bragging today, but also center it around how we are collaborating with CleanStart, with the green tech community, and hopefully we'll have some good discussions. Go to the next slide, Thomas. So this is just a kind of a snapshot on some numbers and introduction to our college. At Sacramento State, as I think everyone knows, we are part of a system, 23 campuses across the state. We are one of them. And we are now, believe it or not, our enrollment actually went up in spite of the fact that some other institutions had their enrollment go down due to the pandemic, but we are now at about 32,000 students, just under 32,000 students on campus at Sacramento State. And in our college, we are just under 5,000 students. So what you see is on that top little box there, we have the breakdown of the different programs. And I say programs because we actually have 5 departments, but I listed them as programs because computer engineering is actually shared between electrical and electronic engineering and computer science. We have 6 different bachelor's programs and 6 different master's programs. The difference is that in the master's programs, we have a master's in software engineering, and construction management has just a bachelor's program. What is shown there is a picture of one of our career fairs. We have 2 career fairs typically throughout the year, about 100+ companies, and that's just a snapshot of one from a couple years ago. You can go to the next slide, Thomas. A little bit more about the college. Every college has a strategic plan, and we've developed ours, but I have to tell you that probably the most meaningful part of our strategic plan is how we define student success. And in fact, for the first strategic plan that we had that I put together with the faculty, I began at Sacramento State in 2014. We put together our strategic plan, we successfully executed that, and we used the words student success, but we didn't actually define it. And so a couple years ago, when we refined our strategic plan, I said, guys, we need to actually define what do we really mean by student success. And so in consultation with the faculty and staff and students, we came up with this definition of student success, and that is the ability to think critically, grow professionally, achieve goals, and contribute to the community. Notice it doesn't say anything about a 4-year graduation rate or a 5-year graduation rate or job placement, all of which are very important. It doesn't talk about grades, but it talks about ability. And very first thing there is to think critically. I know that is so important to you in the green tech industry, and then to grow professionally. We want our students, our graduates, when they leave our campus, to be able to think critically, grow professionally, and achieve their goals, whatever that goal is. Whether that goal is to go into industry, go into graduate school, the military, entrepreneurship, to be able to achieve their goals and ultimately contribute to the community. If our students have that ability, when they walk across that stage, they have achieved, in our minds, what we call student success. Next slide. behind all those students, I just have to kind of give a nod to the faculty and staff. We have Dr. Poindexter there on the right in the blue, and our staff. They are the heart and soul of the college. I am here as dean to serve them so that they can serve the students. And so I just want to give a nod to the faculty and staff who are so dedicated, work so hard under increasingly difficult circumstances that I'll describe in the slides coming up. Next slide. So as the top, these slides, you're seeing inside scoop, and some of this is known to many of you, but there is some information that I think is a little bit of an inside scoop from the dean's perspective, from academia's perspective, that I think will be really interesting to discuss. First of all, careerexplorer.com in 2020, when I was just looking at trends, just really affirmed the growing trends for the needs for engineering students and construction management students. We're going to talk about construction management later on in these slides, but clearly the growth in the need for engineering and construction management professionals is growing. And one of our hardest jobs in our college is to fill that pipeline. Next. LinkedIn, the top emerging jobs in the report in 2020. Look at that. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. Do you see a pattern there? Computer science, software, data management. It's all about what I call the digital. And here you have 1, 2, 3, 4. The top 4 are related to something related to digital and data science. And this is so clearly evident when I talk to employers, whether they are employing mechanical engineering students, construction management professionals, civil engineers. There is a growing need for students to have more of a solid foundation, not necessarily expertise, broadly speaking, but they need to have an understanding, certainly compared to how it was years ago, in the area of managing data and finding data and analyzing data. Next slide. Now, ASE, American Society of Engineering Education, Industry 4.0, there was a committee and they surveyed manufacturing employers. And what I think is meaningful here is, as you know, manufacturing is extremely broad. And so I think it's applicable even to the green tech and sustainability conversation here. Notice what they said, the curriculum for today, we asked them, or they asked them, for the curriculum for today, what's most important? Where should we put our emphasis? And they said soft skills, that's the 21st century, okay? People skills, 20% knowledge and discipline, all right? Understand your civil engineering, understand your computer science fundamentals. And then 27% digital data information, right? That kind of all-encompassing term there. But look what they said about the future. It's almost flipped. 33% soft skills, people skills, still important. But look at that bottom, 50%. This is where industry is going. They're saying they need graduates who are prepared, not only they have that knowledge in their discipline, they have their arms wrapped around the soft skills and people skills, but can they find data, manage data, interpret data, and work with data? And that is a trend that I'm seeing everywhere. The little infographic on the right shows the very lowest level there, inspiration, discussion, and preparation. This kind of captures the pathway of a student coming from, say, middle school all the way up to graduation of college. They begin at the lowest level, and that is our job, is to inspire them, help them discover and prepare them. I call that the cotton candy part, all right? Excite the children about engineering and computer science and sustainability and all these things, get them excited about it. And then when they get to college, they take their sciences and their professional subjects. That's where it starts to get difficult. And that's why I call that the meat and potatoes, all right? So we start out with the cotton candy. The cotton candy is not going to sustain them, but it does excite them. It gets their foot in the door. And then we give them the meat and potatoes, the professional subjects, the sciences and general education But notice those top layers. This speaks to the 21st century workplace. This speaks to what ASC, that committee is finding. Critical thinking, communication, teamwork, project management, all these skills that are developed often when they leave the campus. Yes, of course, we include that in our curriculum, but quite honestly, these are skill sets that the employers would love to have graduates from day one, and they can build on that. Next slide. So what are we doing? In our college, first of all, I've hired, since I've been here, 28 full-time professors. And I always look for professors who are caring and responsible with respect to people and the environment. So we want to make sure we put in place and in front of students the right type of professors who have a healthy appreciation for our environment and respect for not just environment, but also people. And then we encourage our students to think about how their footprints, by the way, whether it's in media, on the environment, or in the laboratory, may affect other people. They have an impact, everything that they do. All of us do, as you know. And so we encourage our students to think about that. When they're designing an electromechanical system, are there ways to reduce waste? Thomas, earlier I was talking to him and he spoke about efficiency and how that's kind of built into how engineers think. We think in terms of making something more efficient, whether it's a manufacturing process, whether it is an automobile. Efficiency is very important. And then we encourage and support student involvement in interdisciplinary projects. And this really speaks to the green tech economy. Very, very interdisciplinary. We want our students to be comfortable dabbling in different areas. And then finally, and obviously, continue to partner with CleanStart. It's been a wonderful relationship that we've had with CleanStart, and we want that to continue. Next slide. Well, you might be wondering about the inside scoop. How do these students feel? As we move forward, we try to put these students out, develop that pipeline of graduates. Some of the students are struggling. Not all of them, not all of them. But there's a survey taken by one of the colleges on campus at Sacramento State. They surveyed the natural science and mathematics students, a lot of overlap with their engineering, and they found that 40% of the students in the wake of COVID feel less dedicated or enthusiastic due to pandemic circumstances. 50% feel less engaged through online learning compared to face-to-face. 90% feel less comfortable with online teaching technologies. And 40% feel synchronous, right? It's real-time instruction would lead to more engagement. Now, some of the students, actually, I would say probably most of the students are comfortable, but there's a significant number of students who are still struggling with managing online education. It's difficult. It's difficult for the faculty also. The faculty, as is written down there, spend more time with reminders and clarifications. And probably the biggest thing, and this is an inside scoop, I don't think people realize how stressful it is for faculty to comfortably administer and facilitate examinations. They want to make sure that the process of examining students' knowledge of the material is filled with integrity. And there's all sorts of difficulty, as you know, in administering an exam online. The faculty are working so hard, and I want you to know that that is one of the things. It's not just at Sacramento State, it's everywhere. They're really struggling with this how to deliver their exams in a way that is aligned with the mission of the college and university. Next slide. This is the General 10. This is our college. As I said, Sacramento State has about 32,000 students now, but this is the general trend for our College of Engineering and Computer Science. We are soon going to be 5,000 students. And as I said, we're right around 4,800, and we continue to grow. This is in part because of the demand. Industry is saying they need more engineers, construction management professionals, and computer scientists. So they keep on coming to our college. We are a destination college, and we proudly receive as many students as we possibly can. But the College of Engineering and Computer Science is growing, and it is difficult for us to manage that load. Next slide. With additional students comes another difficulty, and that is because of the funding changing from the state. This is just a national trend. Generally speaking, the density of full-time tenure track professors is actually going down. It's very, very hard to actually increase it. And to offset that, we are bringing in more and more part-time lecturers. Sometimes it's called adjunct professors at other universities. We love these part-time professors. We love these adjunct professors. They bring to the classroom a wealth of knowledge and information that sometimes the tenure track professors don't have, because these part-time lecturers, well, this is their part-time job to teach. They have their quote unquote real jobs in the real world, and they bring such wonderful information to our students. And so it's a great complement. So I don't want to suggest that it is a bad thing to have more part-timers, but there are implications. And that one is that in a university, the full-time tenure track professors also have to serve on committees, and a lot of them across campus. And so that's a workload that is not carried by the part-timers. And so when you have fewer tenure track professors, you have fewer professors to spread around to work on different committees, to volunteer on scholarship committees and budget advisory committees and so on. It's a lot of work, and it's an increasingly load on the tenure track professors. Next slide. This is a reality for many public universities in the country, and Sacramento State is no different. When we talk about operating expenses, so it's different from the personnel expenses, but in terms of operating expenses, in our college, we have about a 50% cut in operating expenses compared to how it was last year. And at other universities, it's a lot more. And some other universities, it's not quite that bad. But do know, when it comes to operating expenses and even in some cases personnel expenses, there's drastic cuts in funding for universities and for colleges within those universities. And it's very difficult, because some students might think, well, we need to pay less tuition money because it's online. And on the surface, that is a conversation or is something that might seem very reasonable. And I don't want to suggest it's not, but when you look at the numbers, it's really, really difficult for the universities to just simply slash tuition because of all these other expenses they have. Next slide. This is a big picture of how money is transferred within the universities. As disclaimer says, this does not necessarily represent Sacramento State's budget, but it gives you a rough picture of what it's like and how the money is moved around. You get a huge chunk of money from tuition and state, all right? And then that money is received by the university, that public money, taxpayer money, and it's divvied up. $46 million of that $333 million goes to tuition discounts. Okay, so that is helping students help pay for their tuition. And there's benefits, $88 million. And then about 50%, $160 million of that $33 million goes to the divisions. The divisions being academic affairs, student affairs, administrative business affairs, athletics. So that $160 million gets divvied up, as you see in that lower right-hand box there, or a circle, pie chart, and about $108 million goes to academic affairs. That's where the academic colleges are. That's engineering, science, arts and letters, all right, and library. So we do get, I'm in academic affairs, gets the lion's share of that money going to the different divisions. And that $108 million, there you have it. 90%. This is true for all universities. 90%, thereabouts, goes to salaries. It leaves about $11 million for, if $33 million were to come in, about $11 million to the College of Engineering and Computer Science, to Natural Science and Mathematics, to Social Science and Interdisciplinary Studies. All 8 of the colleges, the libraries. Our college gets about $1 million. And that was last year. This year we got 500,000. So the rule of thumb is about 3.5% of what the university receives from the state and tuition, that goes to academic affairs, that goes to the colleges. And 90% of that is for personnel costs. Next slide. That was important to kind of give you that backdrop. But what are we doing in our college to prepare our students to serve you, to serve green technology industry? Well, one thing we're doing is we've introduced the Hornet Leadership Program. This program is set up as it's a co-curricular program where we provide students learning opportunities where they can connect with industry professionals. And they learn about critical thinking, conflict resolution. They learn about business etiquette, about budget planning. A lot of the things that the engineers get here and there in the curriculum, but they really dive into it in industry. We want them to be prepared to work in that green tech economy. And one way to do it is through this Hornet Leadership Program. And so what happens is that industry can actually connect with the director of the Hornet Leadership Program and provide lectures to these students. And here's a picture of a lecture from a couple of years ago on the left. They can meet with the students in its cohorts and instill values with respect to what they feel is important, all within context of the Hornet Leadership Program mission. And also, we provide these students scholarships. The big picture there is our very first cohort of students. They had to come in through a competitive process. They all got scholarships from the funding that we received, and they all got specific learning and training in a certain area. One of them was supported by SMUD. One cohort was supported by SMUD, and SMUD said, you know, we really want to focus on IT. And so they basically adopted a cohort of students, and they're working with them right now, developing relationships. This is how our college is preparing students to serve the green tech economy, one way. Next slide. And then I will just say, as a result, and Thomas mentioned this, of really the hard work of our faculty and staff and students, yeah, we're very proud that we have highly regarded programs in our college, number 11 ranked out of 220 non-college granting colleges in the country. So this is nationwide, US News and World Report. Our civil engineering is ranked number 11, computer engineering, number 13, electrical electronic engineering, 18, and mechanical engineering, number 22. We're very proud of that. We don't chase rankings. That's not what we're about, but we are appreciative of the recognition of the hard work that the faculty, staff, and by the way, students are doing. They're going out and doing great things in industry. Notice construction management. The only reason why construction management is not in there is because ASCE didn't divvy up, design their rankings that way, but 100% job placement for construction management. That speaks to the value and quality of education coming out of that department. And then 85% of our students find a job within the first 6 months of graduation. We're very proud of this. And so with that, I think that's my last slide, Thomas. I wanted to give you kind of the inside scoop on what it's like, some of the considerations that a dean has to make in managing a college, and always keeping our eye on how we can serve industry, and in particular, green tech, and with the best students who can go out and solve problems for you. So thank you very much, and I'll stop and let Thomas take it back.
All right, thank you very much, Dean Smith. I first want to give you a round of applause for that from everyone here, and then go in to invite people to ask some questions. My kind of first question is actually around the grid and trying to balance the expectations that you kind of listed there between what companies want now and what companies want in the future. Since most companies don't exactly know what skills they'll need in 10 years, how do you go about deciding what curriculum a student might need for the technologies that might be emerging in the next 10 years or so?
Well, generally speaking, the faculty are not going to deviate from making sure that all the students get fundamentals. That's not going to change. And for the engineering disciplines, that is the easiest, because it doesn't, the fundamentals don't change as quickly as they do, say, for computer science. And actually, when I speak to the computer science faculty, even those, the core fundamentals really don't change. But as you know, in computer science and software engineering, there's a lot of peripheral aspects that are constantly changing. So first, the faculty are going to continue to focus on fundamentals. Then they're going to, as I mentioned there, they're really going to work on making sure that the students have that capacity to think critically and to work within a team environment. And that's what's most important. That's what we're hearing from industry. How do we do that? Internships with companies, senior projects centered around teamwork and interdisciplinary work. That's how we're doing it. Certainly, the Hornet Leadership Program is another way, but I really do. I'm very proud of what our faculty are doing, and I have to say this is not unique to Sacramento State. UC Davis has done a fantastic job, as are other universities in the area. But that's generally how the faculty are going to approach it. They're not going to deviate from the fundamentals, but they are going to keep an eye on those 21st century skill sets and including the critical thinking. And obviously, in part of that, I can't emphasize enough, making sure that the students, whether they're in any discipline at all, digitally savvy, they have an understanding of how to find data and manage data.
Okay, let me quickly look at it. Do I see any questions in here?
Well, let me ask one. Elaborate a little bit more, if you would, Lorenzo, on the job fair. And as a mechanism for some clean tech companies to know who the graduates are that are coming through. When are the job fairs held?
They are held twice a year. In fact, I think the first one for the fall is the 30th, October 30th. It is a virtual, as you can kind of imagine. So this year, they're both virtual, and I believe, and I can verify this and send this to Thomas, but I believe the first one is coming up in a couple weeks. How do they connect though? They can actually come straight to me or one of my associate deans, and we can get you connected to the director of our career services department, Nisa Bush. So it's not just the career fair. And I want to talk about this, Gary, just a little bit. In building a relationship with any college, again, not just at Sac State, but any college, it's so important for employers to not just think of engaging through that point of that engagement point of a career fair. There are opportunities for people to come in and give lectures, as I said, through the Hornet Leadership Program, or through the career services office, just to come in and have what we call an evening with, okay? An evening with CleanStart, an evening with SMUD, where it's a relatively small group. You put some pizza out in front of the students, you have 10, 15, 20, 30 students, and it gives that company an opportunity to have a little bit more intimate connection with the students. That can be done throughout the year, and that is how you build relationships with these students. Another way is through sponsoring senior design projects. What a wonderful way for industry to get to know our students, connect with them, see how they work, all right? Listen to what sort of questions these students ask. So for a very, very small investment, it's a great return through sponsoring some senior design projects.
What programs are available to connect faculty members or students with local companies for R&D or internships? Question from Ling Hong Lee of DAE Energy.
Mm-hmm. And when you say, I'm not sure what is meant when they say programs, but I can tell you that our faculty are very engaged in research. In fact, one of the slides I made a point of saying that we are deeply committed to teaching, successfully teaching in the classroom, but our faculty are very engaged in research in their area. And the way that you can connect with them, first of all, is if you go to our website and you can find a directory of the faculty and their areas of specialization, and you can connect with them directly. A lot of times, though, it's helpful to connect with the dean first or the associate dean, and so I can kind of understand more about what your needs are. And then I can direct you to the faculty members who I'm certain would have some interest in it, rather than you chasing around and not wondering if you are connecting with the right professors. So you can contact the professors directly. You can contact me. You can contact my associate deans. It's a very informal process in the way that you connect with our professors. And how do you engage with them? One, certainly it could be a sponsored project where you would have a scope that is written out, and it's a formal contract. There's an exchange of resources, of financial resources, and the professor will have a deliverable, and he or she will deliver that. That's one way, a sponsored project. But there are other ways, and that is, again, through sponsoring senior projects, co-mentoring students. We have master students who have theses to defend. Why not see if you can serve on the committee, or at least some sort of consultative way to maybe provide input on their thesis. I think that's another way.
That's
let me add to that. Lorenzo, that CleanStart is also trying to find a way to engage more of our community with your senior students looking for senior projects. Just, starting with a conversation of, what are the project possibilities out there? The seniors are looking for a problem they can work on. Yeah. Hopefully the companies are interested in seeing what some of the students can do, and do a little bit of matchmaking. We have a small form of that coming up at the beginning of November, where people can hear pitches from students that are engaged right now in trying to put together their projects, put them in the form of a potential business. But starting more aggressively next year, we'll be bringing it forward with some opportunities for companies, what students are interested in doing. And the students in return would like to hear more about what are the problems that companies see that they could be working on. And hopefully falling out from that will be a better match between the workforce development, the interests of the students, and the interests of the companies in going forward. So people should be looking for that program, both the small one this year and the larger one next spring.
Well, I appreciate what you said in particular. Oh, go ahead. Someone is going to.
I think it's background noise on yours.
Okay. I was just going to say, I appreciate that, Gary, but you mentioned matchmaking, and that's absolutely true. It is a little bit of a matchmaking process. And so the industry representatives will come with a certain scope and idea of what they really need and the problem that they have. And they make sure it's a good fit for not only the student skill set, but also the support that they'll get from the professor. And then the other one that you mentioned, problem solving. Our students are professional problem solvers. That's what they're developing to become, professional problem solvers. So they're very eager. In fact, some of our students are working with CleanStart. They're very eager to see how they can apply their skills to solve problems, to make the world a better place. So you out there in industry, in the green tech community, wow, what an opportunity to connect with Sacramento State, with CleanStart, or even through CleanStart, to get those connections with the students.
I want to highlight some of the resources that Sac State's engineering department has. You guys have a power engineering lab that enables people to go in and test, I believe, products. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So this was actually probably developed in about 2015. The electrical and electronic engineering professors really felt a need to build a brand new lab in the area of relay protection. So this is a subset of power engineering. So they wanted to be able to build a lab that serves students, where we can have outstanding world-class experience, but also to serve industry. And so these professors, we worked together, we got some funding, and the companies came in and invested and helped us build this lab, this relay protection lab. And not only are the students learning in that lab, but workshops are held in that lab where our professors can train some of the industry professionals in the area of relay protection and power engineering, or they will actually have companies come in and use that space for their own training, delivered by their company experts. So it's a great example of how we are working with the community to serve them.
Now, kind of follow to that, a big portion of kind of the future of the grid that people are talking about is demand response, which involves a lot of Internet of Things and kind of communication between devices to adjust the power demand. And it also includes power engineering knowledge. Is there any ideas of combining maybe your data science and IoT lab with parts of the power engineering?
We're probably not going to formally combine them, but our professors are actually collaborating. And so when you mention IoT and data science, we have a lab that we are developing now. We're seeking funding. We're actually talking to some large companies in investing in that area. And in fact, Thomas, they're looking at sponsoring a Hornet leadership program cohort of students in that area. So then here we have this very fertile ground where we have an investment in students who are connected to projects, connected to professors in that area of IoT and data science. And absolutely, it really provides a great opportunity for them to connect, as you said, with the power engineering professors. That is an example. I want to say this one more thing. We are in the process of developing a doctorate degree in power engineering. Okay, and so we're in early discussions. We have a long way to go. As you can imagine, things take a long time in higher education. But this is something that when you talk about these unique little combinations of curriculum, that would be an opportunity for us to introduce that in our doctorate in power engineering. And there's also going to be a master's in power engineering under that, probably online. So the faculty are hard at work thinking about new ways to kind of creatively shape their curricula in a way that serves really an evolving landscape in terms of needs.
Okay, we have one question from the audience. Adrian Rand of Valley Vision, what sort of innovative soft skills programming is CSUS employing for students, and how are they doing, or how is this being handled during remote COVID times?
Well, I'll answer the last part first. Not easily. Everything is online, as you know. Or most things are online, as you know. And so, full disclosure, it's very hard to maintain that same level of intimacy and effectiveness online compared to in person. But as far as introducing that training in the area of, I think it was soft skills she mentioned, one, it's already in the curriculum. And so this is why we have a very hands-on curriculum. We have the fundamentals, but the students work on interdisciplinary projects within the context of a team. And I have to tell you, I've taught senior design a long time ago, and it's just amazing to see how those students struggle and they don't have it figured out. And, it's like a week before it's due and there's nothing to show for. And then miraculously, when it's due, it's there. They get it done. They find a way to, they somehow find a way to come together as a team. They've been, perhaps even arguing a little bit and going at each other and disagreeing the whole semester. But at the end of the day, the students find a way to work together as a team. And that, Thomas, really speaks to their ability to deliver a product using their skill set in the area of soft skills. So again, to answer your question, through the curriculum, all right, we have that built in through projects, our laboratories, senior design. And also we have our Hornet Leadership Program, which is kind of an extracurricular experience. Finally, I'll say we have the Carlson Center for Entrepreneurship. That's another way, again, to help these students get in front of people, get uncomfortable, right? To pitch their idea. And sometimes their idea might not be received well, but that's life, right? And so there are a lot of ways that our students can grow in that area. So it's not just in our college.
I'm just sharing a link to the Carlson Center there for those people that want to check it out. With that, we're going a little bit long here, but I want to make sure that we thank everyone here for attending. Check out our next CleanTech meetup, the future of the utility, power engineering, demand response. There's going to be a good discussion on it, along with if you're figuring out how do you stay connected on all this, follow us on Twitter, follow us on LinkedIn, check out our videos. We're constantly putting up new content for you to check out. Additional thanks to our overall program sponsors and our community partners. They help us grow and connect with more new startups and then connect them to resources like Dean Smith's college and basically turn Sacramento into a clean tech hub. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing and thank everyone for coming. Thank you, Dean Smith, again.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you,
right.
Thomas and Gary, for your leadership in a very, very important part and of the growth of the whole Sacramento region. I really appreciate working with you.